What up YouTube, Nathan Heightz here, and today we're going to be talking about why is Spanish so hard for English speakers, right? It seems that the language learning community is split on this. A lot of people think Spanish is extremely easy, other people think Spanish is extremely hard, and honestly on the surface level they seem very similar, but the further you get into the grammar, the more different they seem, right? So first things first, Spanish and English are both from different language families. What I mean to say by this is that English is from the Germanic language family and Spanish is from the Romantic language family. Not because it's romantic, guys, but because it comes from Rome, right? The main similarity that they have is that they have the same Latin script, right? This is very useful in Spanish because the words are actually pronounced how they are spelled, unlike English, right? In English it's a lot harder, at least that's what they say. In this sense, English is a lot more like French in which the alphabet does not match the pronunciation. For example, in English we have the word night, K-N-I-G-H-T. In Spanish you will never have this. It follows the same rules. They hardly ever bend. One of the most difficult part of that would be like sometimes there's like a silent H or something, right? So it's very easy in that sense. Another thing is a lot of the vocabulary is shared. They have the same roots, such as like Latin roots, things of that nature. So a lot of the words sound the same, right? Now the thing that makes Spanish difficult is that on a more advanced level you run into certain types of conjugations that do not exist in English, and if they do, please let me know about them because I don't really know too many common examples. The main one would be that in Spanish, in the past tense, there's the preterite and the imperfect. It's the difference is very, like, at first it's hard to tell being an English speaker, a native English speaker, but as you start practicing more you kind of get to understand, right? So the imperfect is used with background information, like when you're describing the setting of an event, right? Or things that happen over a long period of time. The preterite is something that happened like then and now, so it's there's a lot of little differences like this, for example, okay? Another thing that makes Spanish very difficult on the advanced level is that there's a subjunctive tense, right? This is used with doubts, emotions, things of that nature, and in English it just does not exist, right? So that to me is the beauty of the Spanish language, but these are things that you definitely have to look out for. Another thing, word order is a little different, so that's like on the very basic level, but honestly that doesn't really get in the way. Aside from that, Spanish is so full of idioms, it's ridiculous, and Spanish is spoken in so many different countries that the lingo is so different, right? You go to El Salvador or you speak with people from El Salvador, I wouldn't say go there unless you're feeling lucky or you're on some kind of a humanitarian mission, but yes, it's spoken in so many different languages it's spoken in so many different countries that the language changes so much, right? They have different sayings, some that you would never hear in Spain or, in Mexico will be used, and it's ridiculous how crazy it gets. That's why I always suggest that you guys get yourself a very good book on idioms, right? You need a book on idioms, guys, because especially this one, the Red Hot Book of Spanish Slang and Idioms, because it lists all of the countries in which the words come from. So that's good to do. I heavily and I always, give my honest opinion on these things. I'm not paid by these guys, so that's something you definitely want to look into. Another thing is the accent changes, right? You go to Argentina and, they use a lot of ja, 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 and honestly it sounds a lot more like, has a little bit of a Portuguese influence or Brazilian Portuguese type influence, right? And that's another thing. The accent changes everywhere you go. So you might have gotten used to your abuelita's accent because she's Mexican, but then you hear the Spanish accent and they're like, it just changes, you guys. So overall, I would say that Spanish is one of the more easier languages for an English speaker to learn, but these differences are astounding, guys, okay? Aside from that, everything is pretty much similar. The verb conjugations are obviously different in regards to just on the very basics. Like in Spanish, it's always like I have, you have, she has, we have, and I'm sorry, that was English. In Spanish, the pronoun is eliminated and you just change the verb, it's like quiero, quieres, quiere, quieren, so those are all things you guys got to get used to. Anyways, I just thought I would make this video because I like to discuss things like this and really just comparing languages. If you know any other differences that, or share your experiences in which you found things difficult to understand, just concepts that you could not wrap your head around, go ahead and comment those below. Subscribe to my channel. I put out more videos than any other language learning channel on YouTube in the last 30 days, and I'm going to continue to do that for the rest of this year and so forth. At least one video daily, guys. So with that being said, thanks for watching and peace. Lates.